Hello and welcome to vlog 17. So it's been absolutely gorgeous for the past like 5 days. It's been glorious sunshine. I've been out looking at blossom and blue skies. And this afternoon I've got an hour or so scheduled in to come down to the plot, and this is what's greeted me. Look at that, beautiful rain, grey skies, soggy. So all the jobs that I had intended to get done today, I was going to plant out my potatoes, I was going to pick out loads more of the sycamore seedlings that are taking over the world. I'm not doing any of those things, it's too soggy. So I've got a few seeds that I can sow, I've got a few things to pot on, but yeah, I thought instead of doing that, I'll take you around the plot in the rain with my trusty trug and show you what I've got available to pick at the moment. It's April, beginning of April, and it's kind of the traditional hungry gap, the time when there's not much left from last year's harvest and there's not much growing yet from this year. But things are starting to come through. I do have a few perennial things that I pick from. Unfortunately, as you will know if you've been watching these vlogs, I lost all of my perennial brassicas in the horrible winter. It was just too cold and too wet for them. So I've started off some more, and a few of the cuttings that I took are doing really well. So I will have brassicas hopefully again next spring and winter, but they're not available at the minute. So yeah, I'll show you what I do have available, and hopefully it's a nice little plot tour in the rain. So off we go. So at this time of year, rhubarb is doing really well, but these are the rhubarb clumps that I've forced the past couple of years, and as you can see, that one's not looking the best. It's much smaller than it has been in the past. This one looks good, but I'm not going to pick from it this year. I'm going to let it have a rest, ready to pick lots from next year. These, as you can see, are sycamore seedlings. At least when I come back after it's rained, they're going to be easy to pull up, so you know, that's something good about the rain. The blackcurrant is doing really well, and I'll probably take some leaves off that next week or the week after, and I'll use it for tea, which is a really nice tea. Right, so first thing to pick, we've got some chives. Now I've been dividing these clumps and spreading them out. I'm trying to make a chive kind of edge to this entire path, because it looks so pretty when they're in flower. But these are really gorgeous just now, really fresh, ready for taking some pickings. So I'm just going to take a few of those and a few of these. As you can see, I'm not a very careful harvester. It's I just kind of grab. If you want to be a bit more careful, you could use some scissors. That might be a good thing. I also purposefully grow some dandelions on the plot. As you can see, they're just coming into flower. Dandelions are a super healthy food. The leaves, the flowers, the roots, they're all edible. They can be a little bit bitter, but mixed with other things, they're really nice in a salad. And they're also brilliant if you want to dehydrate them and make them into a powder. And I just add them to soups and stews and things like that. I've tried making coffee with the roots. That wasn't really for me. It wasn't to my taste, but you know, other people really like it, so it's worth a go. Over on this side, I've got my very decrepit looking sprouts. These were not a huge success this year, but what is here is still edible. Some of them have blown, as you can see there. That just means that they've started to kind of spread out, ready to become a flower. So I'm just going to take off a few bits of these. These are fine to put in, again, soups and stews, and I quite like them just fried up with a bit of butter. And this one's becoming a flower, like you can see there. And they're really tasty. So I'll probably let some of these just turn into these stalks, these flower shoots, and then we'll eat them like that. There's another one there. And I'm just looking over here, we've got another little one there. So even though these weren't the most successful, we're still getting some harvest from them, which is nice. Okay, as you can see, more little tree saplings everywhere. So over here, we've got some land cress here. Most of my land cress is in a different bed, but this one's just self-seeded. Now, as you can see, that's starting to develop a flower head as well. So I'm just going to nip that out. We can eat that, that's fine. But if I leave that on, it'll just produce flower and no more leaves. So this way it'll just kind of stop doing that for a while, or it'll produce lots of little flower shoots that we can eat. This is the garlic patch, which is looking okay. The garlic isn't very tall compared to what it's normally like at this point, but it's doing all right. In this bed, quite exciting, if you look here, this little shoot that's looking a bit sad because I think it's got frosted is a mashua shoot. Now, it's obviously decided to come up when we've had the nice weather, but then it's been absolutely freezing at night. So I'm just going to cover that over to give it a bit more protection and just see if it sends up another shoot. And here, this is perennial climbing spinach. So that's quite nice to see that coming back. Get rid of that weed. Lovely. And this is self-seeded lamb's lettuce. This is a really lovely tender salad leaf. A lot of the salad that you can get at this time of year that grows well can be a little bit tougher, a bit like the landcress, but this lamb's lettuce is just beautiful and really, really soft. So I'm just going to take out the bigger ones. It's even self-seeded itself into the bricks there. Ooh, I've got some roots going on there. Lovely. I've got some more of that over in the other bed. I'll show you in a minute that I took out of this patch. I just took out some little seedlings and planted them into plugs and then planted them out last week, and they're doing really well. Here we've got some garlic chives and a few just normal garlic. That's just a normal garlic that I've put in and we're just going to use for the greens. So you can just take off the green to use and that will just grow back. So that's really handy, and they're really nice. So obviously they're like chives but with more of a garlic rather than an oniony taste. And here we've got loads and loads and loads of primroses. Now primroses are edible, the flowers are edible, the leaves are edible. They don't taste of a great deal, but they look really pretty. I'm sure they have nutritional benefits, and you can pop them on salads, you can pop them on cakes. They dry really nicely as well if you want to dry them and then put them on cakes. So here I'm just going to take some of the flowers. As I say, you could take the leaves as well if you wanted to. There we go. Okay, and let me see what else we've got. So the broad beans are doing okay. They seem to have put on quite a lot of growth with the bit of warm weather that we've had actually. Look at that one. That's looking miles better. These were quite... Okay, so here we've got some nettles. If you're going to pick nettles, they are a brilliant superfood, but you just need to pick from behind the leaves. So if you go under the leaves to pick, like that, then you won't get pickled. Also here is a little salad burnet, and that's another really nice salad leaf to have at this time of year. These here are Babington's leeks. These are a perennial leek. I'm not going to harvest these because I want them to produce some seed so that I can grow more of them in the future. But I'm quite excited that at least I've got those 3. That's a good start. Over here I've got lots more American landcress that, as you can see, is going to flower, so I'm going to take off all those shoots. I'm going a bit fast just because my battery life is running out. So over here I've got some more of the lamb's lettuce. These are the ones that I told you that I kind of took up, planted into modules and then planted out again. And here we've got some horseradish, and that is a really lovely addition to roast vegetables and things like that. I've got one there that's started to flower as well, so that's interesting. I might get some seed from that. Let's see, what else? Okay, so the rain's got a bit heavier, so I've come into the polytunnel, and this is how my truck's looking so far. I'm sorry if the video's a little bit jumpy, but my phone keeps kind of deciding that it's got full storage, so I keep having to adjust things. I really need to sort it out. Here we've got my bunching onions. These are absolutely fantastic. They are perennial, they come up each year, they have these excellent spring onion type leaves, and you can just, as I'm doing now, you can just pick off however many you want. These are like full of this kind of, I don't know what to call it, like a gel. Anyway, they're super tasty. And really, really easy. I grow some here in the polytunnel and some outside. The ones in the polytunnel go all winter. Obviously they pick up growth in the spring, but they're still available to pick and will grow kind of slowly through the winter time. So these are brilliant, and these are at the minute getting some flowers, so they'll get some nice seeds and they'll be good for the bees. Also in my polytunnel I am overrun on this side with mint. This was a mint that was here when I took over the allotment a decade ago next week, but I've never been able to get rid of it, and it's such a lovely mint that I don't really mind. I just literally pull it up root and all as I harvest it, which kind of keeps it a little bit in control. Obviously I've not been picking over the winter, so it's gone a bit bonkers. Okay, and another thing that's really lovely at this time of year are the brassica sprouts. So the brassicas from last year now are starting to put on these flower shoots, which is basically broccoli. That's what we're eating, is broccoli. And they're putting on these flower shoots ready to set seed, but they are really, really tasty. So I am picking off all of these. These are a sprouting broccoli, so that is kind of what I'm growing it for. But I'm also able to take sprouts from all the other brassicas, which I normally have a lot more of this time of year, but you know, we'll take what we can. And as you pick these off, they will just keep producing more. Eventually the sprouts will get really, really small, and then I usually either remove the plant or maybe let it go to seed for bee food. This is a Scorzonera, and as you can see, this is also producing these flower shoots, and these are absolutely delicious. They're smaller than the broccoli, but maybe even more tasty. One thing that you do get a bit of a problem with are these little white fly in the polytunnel, but they do wash off easily, so don't let that put you off. And again, you can just keep taking these until they get so small and spindly that it doesn't seem worthwhile. Obviously the leaves are all still edible as well, and you can still be picking those. So here we are. Not a bad little truck full of greens, considering that we're only at the beginning of April. And just see if there's any more. So as you can see, this one here, like, eventually they'll all get like, it's not very good, they all get like this, so really skinny. But I'm just going to take all of them off here, and then hopefully there'll be another flush of sprouts. Okay, I think that's pretty much all of them. And I think that's about everything at the minute. I do have these spring greens that I grew from kitchen scraps. I'm not quite ready to harvest those yet. I'm going to let them get a little bit bigger before I start making harvests from those. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that little tour of edibles on my plot. This is what we've got. If you have any questions, please feel free to message. Just pop a comment below. In the home vegetable plot, I've been harvesting some of this Scorzonera, which is a similar plant to salsify, and you grow it for the roots, but the whole plant is edible and it's really, really tasty. I'd definitely recommend giving it a try. The wild garlic at the top of the garden is really getting going now. So this week I've been harvesting some with the view to dehydrating it so that I can use it in cooking all the year round and not just in the spring when it's so abundant. This wonderful, wonderful leaf is so beautiful. It smells amazing. It can be used in so many different recipes. The leaves are lovely, and soon there'll be flower pods as well or flower buds that I'll be looking to pick. But yeah, I got a whole basket full of leaves, and I'm going to put them into the dehydrator Once I do stack them quite thickly in the dehydrator, they do shrivel up a lot, so you don't really need to lay them leaf by leaf, although they obviously will dehydrate a little bit quicker that way. This way you can just fit a lot more in, and when it comes out they'll be all dry and a bit kind of crispy-ish, and you can either just stack these in a jar or grind them into a powder. In the greenhouse, my skirret has finally germinated. These are an amazing vegetable. They're a perennial. You grow them for the roots, which are something like a parsnip or carrot, slightly nasturtium-y, slightly peppery. And you can also eat the young leaves in the spring. They have really, really pretty umbellifer, open, fairy-like flowers that are white, that are beautiful in the summer, and it was really popular in medieval times apparently. I imagine it fell out of favour because it's not the easiest to harvest or prepare. The roots are can be a little bit spindly, but they are really tasty, and definitely worth growing, especially since it's a perennial, so you can just leave, the actual plants, the crown, in the ground, and it will grow back year on year. So really good one to grow. I'd definitely recommend it. And my little kalettes are getting true leaves. Hi, I'm here in the greenhouse today. I'm going to be sowing some more seeds, which is nice. I'm sowing some flower seeds today. So last year I was sent some amazing dahlia tubers, and they grew so well and they were absolutely beautiful. I'd never really grown dahlias before, but I was so impressed, and at the end of the summer and into the autumn they were just glorious, and I cut loads for the house, I gave them away to friends. They were just amazing. Unfortunately I didn't lift them and store them, and we've had an awful winter. So even though I mulched them really heavily, I really don't have a lot of hope that they're going to pull through. Now dahlia tubers are really expensive to buy, so I've decided that I'm going to give it a go growing some from seed. I've given this a go in the past and haven't had a great deal of success, but I'm going to try again. So I've got these seeds, which are a mixture of different dahlias, and yeah, I'm going to sow some and see how we get on, and maybe I can grow from seed, it'll be cheaper, and maybe I'll get some flowers this year. Maybe I'll be able to develop some tubers that I can store and then grow again next year. So I'm going to give that a try. And I've also got some cosmos. I've sown some cosmos already at home. Those have not arrived yet, they've not come up yet, but I saw these and I couldn't really resist. They're like an orange pink, they look really beautiful. Cosmos Xenia they're called, so I'm going to be giving those a go as well. So what I'm doing, I've got my modules here. I really like these modules, they're nice and big, so you've not got the problem of potting on so much, which is good, because as time goes on now in the spring and there's loads and loads of seedlings and loads to do, it's nice to not have to worry that things are drying out so easily. Maybe naughty and biting the edge. Yeah, so these dahlia seeds are quite big. I'll just show you there. They're quite big. And I'm just going to put one to each module here. So these are a mixed variety, so it does say that they may have mixed germination times. So I'm going to label and then not forget what I've sown here. So I'm going to do 9 of those. Okay, pop the rest back in here. And I'm just going to push those in cover those up. And I will put a label in with that pen. I probably don't have a pen, I'm always putting a pen down. Pens are like secateurs and scissors, they just disappear. Right, I'll put that there in that one so I know I've sewn it to there. And then I'm going to sew some of these cosmos. Now both of these like it to be quite warm to germinate, and probably it would be better if I started these off at home with a bit of heat, but I've had success with cosmos just in the greenhouse. It does get quite warm in here once the sun comes out, so I'm going to give it a try because it's meant to be quite sunny next week. It's not meant to be hot, but it's meant to be quite sunny, so maybe it gets a bit warm in here. That'll jump start them. So on this one with the cosmos, I'm going to put 2 in each module because these are quite big modules and I want quite a few cosmos because I can have 1 or 2 plants here at the allotment and then the rest I'm going to have in the garden at home. So 1, 2, and then there's just 1 left of that one, that'll be fine. And I'm just pushing them in not quite as deep as the Dahlias because these are just slightly smaller seeds. And again, I'm just covering those up. Lovely. So I'll just find a pen and I'll put some labels on, give them a water, and hopefully they'll grow.
Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to everybody who's subscribed, and hopefully I'll see you again for the next one. Bye.